Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar. We have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Jim Clevenson. Jim, welcome to the Jewish View.
Thanks for having me.
Well, besides being the publisher now of the Jewish World newspaper, the only Jewish publication in the Capital District, but also we want you here for that you're also the head and the founder of Rational Reflection. So tell us what it is.
Well, it's an existential type of therapy that involves looking at what the basic demands are that we make on ourselves and on the world, and which usually lead to dissatisfaction or a sense of lack. And I want to bring this kind of thing into relation to Jewish ideas, and in particular today we're going to talk about a book called The Secret, which people may have read, came out in about 2006. It's a book in the category sometimes called positive thinking. It talks about what they call the law of attraction, and there are a lot of ideas that I think we can talk about also in connection with Jewish ideas.
All right, so yeah, maybe you start with, you know, what your philosophy is and the way to help other people.
Well, what I wanted to start with was more the book, and talk about what I think is the appeal of the book. The book
was a very popular book. I mean,
it was a book and a movie.
Really?
Both came out in 2006, and they both feature a lot of teachers or gurus in the positive thinking, let's become millionaires kind of category. And I think one of the questions that arises for me when I look at such materials is, what's motivating people? What is it that gives rise to this sense that I'm not sufficient, that I need more? Because the book centers around questions of improving your health, improving your financial condition, also known as becoming rich. And the supposition is that this is the way to become happy also.
What is I mean, there have been books, and I'm surely no expert to say the very least, but I know Think and Grow Rich. I mean, this is also a famous book. What was, so like you said, there are other books and other people writing about the general idea. What's the novelty, so to speak, of what are the books, The Secret, coming to tell us different than these other books about positive thinking?
I'm not an expert on the field. I know Think and Grow Rich is kind of like one of the granddaddy books in the field.
Right.
I don't know if there's anything particularly new in The Secret. One of the things that we could focus on is this question of, this is not in the book so much, but this is where I would be coming from, is the question of, like, where's this yearning coming from? And I was thinking that if you want to put it in the Jewish context, we also have the sense that we're incomplete as human beings and that we need something else. And that's, you know, Judaism is a huge tradition that addresses this question, I think, because it opens up into many more questions. If you think, okay, I'm incomplete and I need completion, which I can accomplish by coming into relation with the infinite in the form of what we call God or Hashem, then the question is, well, how do you do that? And then Judaism has the answer. Well, we have the Torah, we have mitzvos, we have, you know, a whole vast explanation of how you should behave, what you should think, how you should think, and all the rest. So some of that is we can get into in connection with the book The Secret. How much of what they say in The Secret is acceptable according to Jewish thinking, and how much of it would not be acceptable. I think, for starters, one of the things in The Secret is that it's all very me-oriented as opposed to world entirely oriented. Now, you read the book, so you probably have some reflections on that.
Yeah, well, Jim has shown me the book, so I primed myself before this show, of course, to talk, you know, very knowledgeable about it. Of course, in Judaism, a person's imperfect. That's part of the situation to perfect yourself and perfect the world. They just say it's not, like you say, an existential philosophy, everything is good and whatever happens, happens. there is good and there is evil in the world, and are inside of ourselves also, and to better it. Saying all that, well, using the God factor, which I don't think the book really uses in there, that God's kind of pulling for us and guiding us. Of course, in Judaism, he's guiding us through the Torah, and he says, well, this is my plan. Here's the goal, the perfect world. You're here, you're imperfect, the world's imperfect. Come on, work on it to reach to this level, this goal of perfection. So a little bit of that, you have to take a leap, maybe you call a leap of faith, a little bit of a dream. How would the world look if it's perfect? Some people would say, well, the world will never be perfect. It's just so much evil for thousands of years, and that's without a doubt. Anybody who knows a drop of history knows that there's been wars constantly, that kind of idea, and people dying of different diseases. But when we ever going to get rid of that? But that leap, so to speak, maybe that's a little bit the secret of Judaism, is like, well, God's got an overall plan and he wants you to move forward with it, so he's kind of on your side, helping you get along and making yourself way through this, maybe you can even say a minefield, so to speak. There's so much danger in this world of being good or trying to make it good. It's very difficult, but persevere and keep going. But at least, I guess that's the secret, thinking positively in that sense, that eventually we will get to that goal.
I was thinking of taking this back to the story of Adam HaRishon.
And the first man. Just a little translation for me.
Because it seems like that's the first statement in Torah of the human condition, and here you have a human being who has it pretty good, but there's something in him that wants more or wants to do something different than what he's been assigned to do. So what do we have to say about that?
Well, that's very interesting, because really with Adam, he had, if you can put a percent, 99.99% of the world, you're the only man. Or you could say, all right, there's one family, another family, there's jealousy. With jealousy of nobody, you're the only person, you have the whole entire world. But, like I say, that 1/100th of one tree out of the whole world you can't have. So what motivates us? Well, we got to have that one tree. The one thing you don't have, that's the one thing he wants.
Right. So how do we explain that?
Well, again, that's what we were saying before. There's a challenge for every person. And really, that's what a lot of people say. Oh, if, like in Fiddler on the Roof, oh, if I only be a rich man, life would be easy. But the truth of the matter is, and I meet so many people, there's no easy street. So you say, oh, if I'd have $1 million, oh, life would be so nice. People with $1 million have their challenges, they have their troubles. And the person, of course, who is poor, goes without saying, has troubles also. But the idea is whatever cards are dealt with to you, and obviously everybody's different inside of their heart and his circumstances, a person has those challenges, and that's the perfect example. Even if you're saying, well, if I'd have $1 million, oh, then it would be good. Life would be better. Well, look at Adam. He had 99.99% of the world. He had everything. You owned the whole world, and you only one tree. One tree you can't, that's the tree I want. So it really doesn't go, oh, my challenge. Every person has challenges. Every person has difficulties. And like we say, the name of the game, I'm going to put a little like a game. It's not a ball game. It's very, very serious. But the name of the situation is in order to overcome the challenges that are given to you. So every person has these challenges. To another person, that's as easy as anything. Oh, what's that person? I can't believe that person. People with charity all the time. Oh, it's hard for me to give charity. Oh, but that rich guy in the city, he has so many millions of dollars. Oh, if I'd have that money, I'd be giving money away. Well, we'll see once you have the millions of dollars how it is easy to give it away. So everybody's looking at each other like the grass is greener on the other side. But if, I know one famous rabbi 100 years ago, if you would put up on your peg, so to speak, all your troubles and what you have on a peg, say, all right, these are your 10 friends or 10 people go any situation you want, people would run back to pick up their own. And like I say, that you deal with your own because that's for you, and you should be able to deal with them. Again, if I sometimes say it's the wild card, if really, but I mean, God's in charge of the world. It's not just draw the luck, you know, the lottery. I mean, people, you know, unfortunately, suicide, I can't take it anymore. The situation is too difficult. People who believe in God understand, hey, God's setting up with the situation. Yes, it's hard. We just said, yes, it's difficult. And we say that that's almost a given. But the main thing is that God set you up in a situation that you know you'll be able to attain it. So here it is not a matter of how much your challenge is, but you are challenged no matter what it is. And you have to go for it and you overcome that challenge.
So what would you say to a skeptic or an atheist on this question? Because they tend to think, well, what's the point of that? Why would Hashem, if he exists, why would he give us these challenges? What's the point?
Yeah. It's a good point. I mean, the Tanya, the basic work, I'm from Chabad Hasidim, that the basic word is called the book, the Tanya, and he deals with, and he says that the Almighty had a taiva, he uses that word, which means a desire to have a dwelling place in the lower world. Not that he needs it, you never say that, God doesn't need anything. He had a desire, like you want an ice cream cone. You need the ice cream cone? It's for nutrition, it's for your body? No. But you want it, you know, you just want it for almost an irrational reason. You can't say, well, I have to be healthy, I have to have my ice cream. I mean, if that's a good, you know, other people say, I just want something. Why? Do you need it? No, I don't need it. So this is the situation. We can't understand it, but this is the situation. It's above our heads, literally, to understand God altogether. So every person has their, you know, situation, and that is the plan, to have a, you know, a challenge. And people try to get out of the plan, meaning that they want to retire. I just, you know, I worked 40 years, now I'm done. Well, God will tell you when you're done. That means you'll be dead, and no one wants to be dead. So he'll call you in when he wants you, says you're done. In the meantime, you're just escaping, and you're not doing the right thing. You have to be, you know, overcoming those challenges no matter what you are. So either a person wants to get out of all challenges. Some people, like I say, unfortunately think they're being challenged way too much, and unfortunately people have problems that way of just being depressed. But the real idea is the middle road. There's a job, yes, there's a challenge, yes, it's difficult, but go for it. You know, that's the name of the game, you know, that you have to overcome these challenges.
Now, in The Secret, I think maybe you would see it as like, or as some people might see it, as a shortcut, because what they prescribe is that you can create your own reality. In other words, we're talking about facing a challenge and dealing with it. We're not sure how yet, because we really didn't go into that. In The Secret, they suggest that you can recreate your reality to get rid of anything that you consider negative and to attain what you consider positive by changing the way you think about things. And they call this the law of attraction. In other words, what you think about, you attract. So if bad things are happening, their argument is you must be thinking bad thoughts on some level. Now, this question of levels gets tricky, but leaving that aside for the moment, I think that maybe we could talk about the secret and the so-called laws of the universe compared to the laws of the universe that Judaism offers.
Well, just on the really going back to the point before skipping that over, you're right, a lot is in your head. For example, money obviously is a major concern of most people or all people. And let's say you have an old car. So you want to attract, you can, first of all, like I say, since we're dealing with God, there is prayer. So not only positive thinking, which Secret doesn't get into the, if I call it the God factor. Just says, well, if you think positively, the car will come.
Right. What they talk about is sort of like prayer, but they don't talk about praying to God. It's sort of like affirmations, like along the lines of, I'm grateful for the new car that's sitting in my driveway right now, kind of thing. And the idea is that if you repeat that enough and believe it, I guess that's also the key, is and relates to the question of levels of belief. You know, if you believe that at some level, then you can attract the new car. Not that you go out in 5 minutes and it's there, but soon.
All right, but that, okay, you're right. I know the positive attraction, but again, saying that, which is important, and not that Judaism negates that idea, but there is prayer. So, but it's like what you said, either you can have in your attitude, pray for it and work forward, or, hey, a car gets me, my clunker gets me where I want to go, and I'm happy with that also. So you can change your mind in both ways. There's really nothing wrong with either way, if whatever way that a person wants to go. Or maybe it should, like you say, have both, because you're not going to have it overnight. So in the meantime, be happy with what you have, and also, hey, I would like to have something a little better also once I'm there.
Well, being happy is one of the keys, as we were discussing yesterday in the book, The Secret. According to them, being happy is the key to everything. If you're happy, it means you're attracting positive things, or vice versa.
Well, it's the way you want to go. That's why, again, I'm always bringing in Hashem, the Almighty, and the book doesn't, but the idea that a person was able to, attract different ideas, and it's the way you want to go. That's the way you're dealt with. I mean, I could always bring it from Bible stories with Bilam, that I always have a story about everything, but in the meantime, that idea, the way a person wants to go, if you want to be happy, then you're going to get reasons to be happy. You want to be sad, you'll get reasons to be sad. So just that, even that idea, where the way you want to lead, that's where you're going to be taken.
Well, on one level, you could say, at least on a superficial level, everybody would say, I want to be happy. So how do we unpack that? How do we, what do we mean when we think that at other levels people might want to be unhappy?
Well, I know it's a very, very complicated and very difficult issue, because, as a rabbi, I counsel people, that's really a major idea. Are you thinking really negative thoughts? There's so many reasons, but one reason is, well, I'm mad at my parents. And, people are middle-aged, or even more than middle-aged, or just tell me, well, my mother did this, or you're not 10 years old anymore, you're older. So people have to overcome those negative feelings. You would think, you're right, I think it's a very...
So what would be the means of doing that in a Jewish context? How do you help them get to pass that, through it, around it, into it, in the sense of understanding it better? What do you do?
I'll tell one little story that I actually had, and it'll answer two questions from before that people would, if there's a skeptic and doesn't believe in God. Now, Rabbi Abraham Twersky, who's a really world-renowned expert on alcoholism, he once spoke here, and this is a number of years ago. The Schenectady Jewish Community Center brought him out, and he talked about alcoholism. And I thought, well, he's a rabbi too. He's a very, like I said, world-renowned psychiatrist, but he's also a rabbi. So I want to hear what a rabbi has to say. But he really talked his other field about alcoholism. But in the AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, they really pushed this idea a little bit, what you're saying, secret, that there's a higher authority. You can't pull yourself up from bootstraps if you're down in the mud. You have to have some higher authority that you're dealing with. They don't say prayer, they don't push religion per se, but they do call about a higher authority. So I buttonholed him when he was walking around the crowd afterwards. And I asked him a question answer, and I saw he wrote it actually up, his question answer, in a book later on. He wrote numerous books. And I said, well, it's very nice and good. Kind of your question is very nice and fine and well if you believe in a higher authority like a God, and they don't tell you who to believe or not. Jewish, Christian, it doesn't make a difference to them. Higher authority, they call it. Says, but what if, like you say, what if a person says, I don't believe in any higher authority? And Dr. Twersky, I still remember, he's a smaller guy. I mean, I'm 6 foot, so he's a little smaller than me. And he says, someone tells me they don't believe in God. You know what I tell them? He says, no, what? Saying, I'm waiting for the answer. This is a big answer. That's what kind of you asked me. That's why I'm bringing it up. So you do believe in God, but you think it's you. Oh, man, he wrote up in a book, but that's a powerful statement. So that's really it. Every person, really, and that answer is how to get out of it. A person's too inside of themselves. They have to, like for us, not easy, it's an easy answer. We say, hey, there's a God. Like we're saying, there's more important things than yourself. think of the cause, think of ideas. I mean, listen, Judaism demands a lot of things from people. I mean, just some Passover. I'm just throwing out one of the many things. So not everybody, Passover, we'd like to clean up. And, certain things are difficult. Even if a person's Orthodox, I say, well, you're Orthodox, so this is coming easy. Well, certain things are because you're so used to them. But other times it is difficult. It's not such an easy thing. I mean, when you're told to have a lot of kids, you'll say, you love kids. No, I don't love kids that much. I mean, I like kids, but, I was told they have more kids. So, I mean, in the end, you see, hey, this is great. It's beautiful to have kids. On the other hand, that at first, it wouldn't be my, if you would say, Rabbi, what would you like to have? A few kids. I don't need so many. I wouldn't say that. But on the other hand, then I have them, I'm happy. So you're looking outside of yourself. Now, what's going to make me happy, and what about my feelings? And someone hurt my feelings, and therefore I'm unhappy. I have a bad marriage, like that, my parents, but my business, yada, yada. Obviously everybody has, like I say, 1,000 different reasons to be upset with something or another. But if you say, hey, this is what God wants, this is what Torah wants from me, it's like that AA, that's why I brought this story in. You're getting yourself out because you're going to a higher authority. It's not a matter of you, your feelings, and your experiences. You're expected to do more, and you're focusing on outside of yourself than more inside of yourself. That's really the Jewish answer, to try to get people. I know it's a hard thing. It's a big question, $1 million question for as far as I'm concerned. Because I think if people would have, and I do agree with the book, if they'd have a happy attitude and they would go for something more, it would come. Again, I would say prayer to God, and use a little more Jewish, come to the Almighty with more Jewish ideas or more mitzvahs, more commandments. Of course, I would throw that in, the book wouldn't. But that idea, that's what I think the book was trying to get at. Just focus on what you want and go for, take that step or 2 steps higher than you. You don't have money now, so, I don't have money. What am I going to do? I don't have money. Well, think about having money, get out of that, get out of your rut, and then you'll be able to grow.
Any cases where you had someone with a particular problem, whether it was resentment towards their parents, or problems with their job, or with their spouse, where you prescribed a specific mitzvah or a specific practice that somehow related to that and helped them get out of it?
It's very interesting, but a lot of times, just let me say it, just people looking for the magic wand, and I'll tell you in a second, there is, but on the other hand, many times it's just a matter of doing rational things. Like, for example, many times it happens, the boss bothers me. The boss bothers me. What a lousy day. What a lousy week. I just have a terrible time at work, which, happens to a lot of people. Switch departments, switch jobs, without the magic wand. And a lot of times the practical thing, I mean, sometimes it's not that practical. I'm not saying it's as easy as that, but for some people,
well, that's changing the external, but what about changing the internal?
Well, the internal, well, see, there's the internal of, like I said, living with it. I have a lousy car. So, all right, so you have a car, be happy with what you have, and, stop moaning and groaning so much. That's one but you asked me the mystical, the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, passed away already 16 years ago, but on the other hand, he gave many advices which are pertinent today. For example, people are scared. I mean, so you can go to a psychiatrist, get medicine, people are fear. He'd say, put up a mezuzah on the door. The mezuzah, a little scroll on your door, will give you the spiritual help to protect you. That's what it's for, the outside door, so nothing bad can happen. I mean, can't go into so many things, but that's one example which you are right, where, like I say, you have the wild card, you have prayer, hey, God, help me. And, I mean, that's why that would be also one of the things. Hey, you have God pulling for you, so.
Do you have any cases, I don't mean to push you against the wall, but I'm just wondering if you have any cases where people did go and work with prayer, for example, or some other practice that actually helped them either see something about themselves or about the situation, or somehow dissolve the situation.
Yeah,
Or I
yeah.
guess actually what happens a lot, according to the secret people, is that situations just sort of magically evolve. I don't know if that's so often the case.
Yeah, well, I think first of all, like you say, prayer is very, very underrated. And I think in Jewish people, and there are statistics about that, but the Catholics and Protestants and Jews, what they consider prayer. And really, unfortunately, Jewish people as a whole, I mean, if a person's Orthodox, then that means they're praying every day, 3 times a day. But without those Orthodox people, which is literally 90% of the United States Jewish population, they have a less feeling for prayer than your average Christian in the street, the average Jewish person compared. And that's it, they're so turned off. And we always have that problem because they don't come to the synagogue so much because, oh, prayer, boring. And if you would say to a regular Jewish person, for the most part, of course not everybody, but they'd say prayer, oh, boring, oh, the synagogue, oh, man. All right, I'll go one day a year and I'll put in my hour and, and supplicate my subconscious. But in any case, that people who have tried it many times, we just say, why don't you start praying? And that is big news for a regular Jew. Pray, what's that going to do? That's just once a year to sit there and be bored. And prayer has helped many people. Because like I say, that I call it the wild card. Hey, you got God helping you. It's not only up to you. A lot of people, most people feel that way. The parents aren't helping, friends aren't helping. They're in a tough situation. Who do I have? Hey, you do have God. He's there to help you, and many people just don't.
Interesting thing. I know somebody who, had been brought up Jewish and went to the synagogue and so on, but was not a serious practitioner, and one day was in the synagogue and it suddenly, reading the prayers, and it suddenly occurred to this person, oh, I'm actually talking to someone.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's a revelation for most people. Most people don't feel that way. Jim, we're having a great conversation. I think we can go on for a whole day, but it is a half-hour show, and maybe we'll ask you to come back over here and re-talk, because I think we just the tip of the iceberg, to tell you the truth.
Scratch the surface of a lot of things.
Yeah, many, many things. So anyway, Jim Clevenson, thank you very much for at least, I can't even say sharing the secret, at least the tip of the iceberg for us, that we filled in a little bit and hopefully get people thinking, which is the main thing, understanding that there are different methods and different ways to better their lives, and that's really the bottom line. And I know that's what you're trying to do with your rational reflections also. So good luck to you, and we'll talk some more.
Thanks very much.